Marvel Strike Force fans, as your friend, the Fast and Comic Guy here. And today is a good day because we got the Doctor Octopus event starting up, and it will be here in just under 50 minutes. So I thought I would give you guys a brief history on Doctor Octopus before I unlock him with 5-star. I will also be doing the red stars, and yeah, I have been stockpiling a lot, so hopefully I will get him to like gear 12, 6664 easy enough, and maybe even level 70 if I get enough gold with some red gold orbs I've been saving up. So, a little bit about him. He had his first appearance back in 1963 in The Amazing Spider-Man number 3. And then he also formed the Sinister Six back in 1964 in The Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 1, which consisted of Electro, himself, Doctor Octopus, and he was the leader because he's the one that made them, Kraven the Hunter, Mysterio, Sandman, and the Vulture. Now, you would think basically what happened with them when they were making when he made the team, they didn't fight them all at once. They actually just drew names, like drew numbers, and they went to fight them like that. So Kraven, if he got number 1, he got to fight Spider-Man first. And they all did it individually. And Spider-Man at the end, when he defeated Doctor Octopus at the end, he kind of made fun of him going, that was a dumb idea. So yeah, I don't blame. I think that's kind of funny the way they did that. So a little bit about him. He is an incredibly smart person. He is a great engineer and inventor. He invented the little tentacles on his back, and he basically what happened was he used them to basically help him work with dangerous chemicals and stuff like that normal people can't do with their hands. So it was basically a safety thing. And interestingly enough, people kind of, when he was an engineer, they made fun of him with his name because he used those tentacles. And basically with his name, they basically behind his back called him Doctor Octopus because he used those tentacles to do stuff. And yeah, then there was a small radiation leak which resulted in an explosion and it fused him to his body. So that's a little bit about his earlier stuff. So what happened later on? He's gone through a lot actually, especially in the last I'd say 5 years or less. He is now actually no longer Doctor Octopus. He is now actually the Superior Spider-Man, and he's no longer actually in his original body. He's actually in a clone body that has a lot of basically Peter Parker's abilities, kind of like Ben Riley, but better. Well, yeah, a little bit better. Like he's got like the perfect clone body. So basically what happened originally was, back in Amazing Spider-Man number 700, he transferred his mind because he had cancer. I believe it was cancer. And, well, basically he was dying. He was going to die. So he did the classic mind swap between him and Spider-Man. And while Spider-Man's mind was trapped in Doctor Octopus's body, basically Doctor Octopus's body died with Peter Parker in his body. So when that happened, essentially Spider-Man was killed and Doctor Octopus was left in the body of Peter Parker. And what happened was basically while they were kind of doing their little thing between, Peter Parker did manage to do one thing in his mind before he finally died, and that was he made Dr. Octopus kind of relive all of Peter Parker's memories growing up, but in his kind of perception. So, like when you see like his Uncle Ben die, it wasn't like Peter Parker watching him die, it was Dr. Octopus watching his uncle die type of thing. So in the end, Dr. Octopus basically got all of Peter Parker's good values, and he still retained his determination and intellect and everything like that. So at the end of the whole event of what happened when Peter Parker died in Dr. Octopus's body, Doc Ock basically vowed to be a better Spider-Man than who his predecessor was. He decided, so now he calls himself the Superior Spider-Man. So they basically ended that Amazing Spider-Man run and called it the Superior Spider-Man. And I enjoyed the run actually. Doctor Octopus ended up falling in love with a fellow scientist, and what happened was, see, when Spider-Man, so Peter Parker, I guess he had fragments of his mind still left inside of him, and there was a situation where she was going to die, and the only way he could save her was by sacrificing. Well, he said he couldn't do it. Like, for whatever reason, he was unable to save her, but he knew Peter Parker could save her. So he basically sacrificed himself being able to control Peter Parker's body by giving it back to Peter Parker, like the mind fragments, because he goes in a mind, goes, hey, I can't save her, I need you to do it. And Peter's like, well, I can't do that because you are in control of my body. And he goes, I realize that, I'm giving it back to you. I'm sacrificing myself for her. So it was a really touching story. I really enjoyed it. And he gave up his Peter Parker's body back to Peter Parker, and he saved the day. And then you think Doctor Octopus is dead, but he's not. Basically downloaded his mind also into the mind of like a robot that was basically like her butler, so she didn't actually know. And then later on he was able to get like a clone body of Peter Parker and transfer his mind back into the clone, and thus creating a new Superior Spider-Man. And then later on he goes, while he's like kind of AWOL, because you can't have two Peter Parkers around, right? So he's kind of like hiding. He goes to his old hideouts and everything like that, and when he goes into one, there's a bunch of Hydra people in there. He decimates them, like gets rid of them all, and then they offer him a job, and he kind of takes it, and he renames himself the Superior Octopus. And that was a really cool little mini, well, it wasn't really a mini series, this is it. He basically, it was a one-shot issue, and yeah, basically he was just in a clone body of Peter Parker. He retains all the same abilities and superpowers as the original Peter Parker, super strength and all that stuff, only he has these really awesome tentacles on him. I think that would have probably been a really cool version of him in this game, but they wanted to go with the classic version, which is fine too. Then later he goes back to the Superior Spider-Man, and so that woman that he was in love with, she finds out later, because they were in a relationship. Peter's like, sorry, that was Doctor Octopus, and she's like, oh, and she felt really betrayed that he lied to her all this time. And so she basically kind of was like, I hate the guy, he was toxic and all that stuff. And actually in that comic that I just showed you, there was he's like a professor at another school in San Francisco, and she ends up being there, and she's like, yeah, I just got out of a toxic relationship. And he's like, oh, and he was like all sad and everything like that, and he vows he doesn't want to hurt her, but he vows he'll protect her kind of like from a distance. And then later when he becomes a Superior Spider-Man again, she finds out that it is him, and she threatens to blow his cover, get him arrested for all of his crimes. And he goes, no, I just want to be a good guy. Let me be a good guy. Let me be a superhero. And she kind of is like, fine, I'll let you be a superhero. And they kind of do. But then they kind of just stopped his series. So yeah, that's basically what happened. So Doctor Octopus is no longer Doctor Octopus right now. He is actually the Superior Spider-Man. So yeah, another thing I really like about him. Doctor Octopus was probably one of my favorite characters when I was a little kid growing up. Like I said, when I was a little kid, I didn't know too much about the character other than the animated series. Now, one of my favorite toys when I was a kid was actually, oddly enough, McDonald's had a series for the animated series. And I had all of them except for the Mary Jane. But my favorite one was the Doctor Octopus toy from the McDonald's. You guys probably remember it. It was really, really fun, and I just got tons of hours of playing with that thing. It was probably like a $2 toy way back in the day. So yeah, that's a little bit of history on Dr. Octopus. Actually, there's quite a bit of history. He's been And then they did for the Spider-Verse, they changed his gender just for the hell of it, because that's just what they're doing nowadays. They have to change everything. So we got 36 minutes left. I will be back, and we will see how I do get him. I'm hoping to get him to at least tier 12 in his gear, and we'll see how well he does with the new Sinister Six team when they're complete. Alright, guys, so we are now here about to start the event. Here it is. We have 40, just over, 5 days completed from the start. So I will be able to actually get to tier 5, so we'll just quickly do all of these. I'm not going to bother with any of these things, I'll just skip. The first one is usually a freebie for anybody. Although it would be kind of funny if this thing all of a sudden was like, you need all shield people, because that was actually what they showed there, was all shield. So what you need for this event, you need characters for the X-Force, which doesn't make that much sense to me. Taskmaster? Yeah, I guess I can see him. Alright, just toss the thing on auto. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh, there we go. Someone's a missing member. Oh, okay. So basically what Doctor Octopus's thing is basically he will summon missing members of the Sinister Six team. From what I understand, people want Rhino, Electro, and Swarm with him for sure. And the last one can pretty much be whoever. Kind of has a cool graphic there, actually, where he's just kind of standing there with his tentacles. I don't know. How'd you guys like the animated series Doc Ock? Like in that one, he seemed like he was actually like pretty well built with his costume. With this thing, he's kind of got a beer gut and everything like that. With the other one, he was like, he had the same head, but he had like the body of like freaking Shocker right there. Oh, now he's ripped. Since he's the superior octopus now he's just ripped. Alright, so let's just, I got a pretty good X-Force team, so this should be relatively simple. I think everyone's at least gear 11, 666 core abilities. And when we do this afterwards, I will have some orbs I will be opening. I will be opening up 2 mega orbs just for the heck of it, and bunch of gold orbs probably, because I'll probably need the gold to level them. I was hoping to finish a node in my Dark Dimensions 3, because that's another 250k that I could have used. Unfortunately, they don't like to... I have 4 enemies left to kill in there. So tomorrow I'll probably beat it. I tell you, node 3 and 4, those are the hardest nodes, I think, in all of Dark Dimensions 3. Once you get past there, it's relatively simple. Because, yeah, the downside to node 3 is basically, you have all these Miss Marvels, and one person goes, everyone just gets assisted like mad. And, yeah, you basically, as soon as you hit start on that thing, you got 2 people left to do a move. Even if you have Phoenix, a lot of times Phoenix actually will die before she even gets a chance to do her special. So, needless to say, you're quitting and starting it all over again quite often on that thing. Tons of stealth on this one. So I did actually, I did complain actually a little bit once about how Scopely does their stories and everything like that, and someone basically, the trolls and all that, they, you tell them, it's like, I would like it if they actually like did some research on the characters before they actually like throw them into the game type of thing. Because there's actually a few things, like for example, the Young Avengers characters don't. A lot of them have never actually been a Young Avengers. Like only one of them on the Young Avengers team have actually been in the Young Avengers, if you actually look it up. And yeah, like I was just like saying, it'd be nice if they actually did some research. And a person was like, they freaked. Like it's funny how trolls freak out on the internet. Basically, they were just like, Scopely made it clear that Marvel in this game is their own universe, and that's why they're able to do whatever they want with any of the characters. So essentially, if they want to, they can literally create brand new characters or completely swap like their identities from the originals if they want to, just because they're going to be sitting underneath the disguise of it's their own Marvel world. They can do whatever they want. And I was like, all right, that's the way they want to do it. Like that's. I don't really remember them advertising it like that much, but I'm just saying it would have been nice if they, kind of stick to the comics a little bit more. I'm sure they try, but if they screw up and fail on a lore in the game at all, that's what they're going to comp out to, is be like, well, it's our own universe, we can do whatever we want. Well, actually, that's one of the reasons why you see in the game there's like so many different versions of characters for different genres. Like the Green Goblin doesn't look like that in the comics, but they're using like the cartoon, Enter the Spider-Verse cartoon. They're using characters from that, and they're using characters from the comics, and they're using characters from like various other sources. So basically, they're just, if they think a model looks nicer in area in whatever, like a game, a movie, a comic book, they'll probably use that model instead of keeping consistent with like all comics, all movie, all game. I think Domino, her current costume is actually pretty similar to her current costume in the game. Oh no, in the comic books actually right now. Okay, so in this thing they want us to kill all these scientists. Well, that was super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Alright, so I should be able to unlock Doctor Octopus at a 5-star now. $250,000. There he is. Alright, so I'm going to be doing a little bit of seed theory also, and we'll see what happens as I open up stars. Be right back.